Hi guys, today we have our first podcast and today we have a privilege to have Dr. Gromov, Dr. G. Please tell us your story, who you are, how you grew up, what looks like your life, not in office, not in dental stories.
Um, Hi Leo, thanks for having me. I
Oh,
mean, we've
my
been
pleasure.
friends for many years.
Yeah.
Just a little intro, and it was an honor for me to be here. Frankly, I didn't know it was your first series of
Yeah.
podcasts, so it's even more important for me then. So I go by Dr. G. I'm Konstantin Gromov, and I've been doing dentistry for a quarter of a century at this point. It sounds almost scary, but I came into dentistry mostly because of my mom, and she's not a dentist, so I'm the only dentist in our family. However, my mom, she's a dermatologist, she's retired, and my grandpa, he was he was a big-time surgeon during World War II, and he was the head of the hospital doing a lot of surgeries. The surgeries that we're like peekaboo surgeons compared to his surgeries during the
Yeah.
war and under what circumstances. And it was purely my mom's decision, and I kind of followed her very strong recommendation. And I remember to this day how we were riding the trolley in Moscow, the Garden Ring. It was from the university when I like submit my application, and I was like dreaming about like what kind of white coat I would be wearing and everything, and she was making fun of me. And with this being said, that's kind of intro to how I became a dentist. And fast forward many years in private practice in Moscow, my hometown. I met one of my mentors, Dr. Maurice Salama, and he inspired me to go through residency in the United States. It was before I made the decision to immigrate to the States. It was purely based on education. And he told me about a dual degree program where you can become, let's say, a surgeon and a restorative specialist, or in his case, a periodontist and orthodontist. And fast forward another few years, I graduated from University of Pennsylvania dual degree peripros residency, 2014. And skipping a lot of other important events, I ended up in Chicagoland. We live in the city with my wife, two daughters, and two crazy dogs. And I have two offices. One is like, not far from here in Schaumburg, Implant White Schaumburg. And another one we got in Skokie for geographical convenience because I used to practice in Glenview. And for many of my patients, it's just, way more convenient to be seen there. Going back to your question about my free time, I don't have much, like most of us. So to make up for the free time, I wake up very early. After a few trips to Vietnam, where I did some kite surfing, it was many years ago. The time difference is, if I'm not mistaken, plus 17 hours. So it's not like when you go to Europe and it's just kind of half a day off and then you readjust. It's like a day and a half off. So when I came back, I started waking up at 4:20, 4:30 every day. And my crazy dogs, they decided that it's such a cool idea, and they're pretty consistent with that. So I wake up early and I go to the gym almost every day. I mean, sometimes I mix and match with other activities like pool. I call it like fish Thursday, рыбный день on Thursdays. So I swim on Thursdays. And among my hobbies, I like photography. My wife is a professional photographer, but we're from completely different camps. She's shooting Canon, and she has a beautiful photo studio in Lincoln Park, but she does like very smooth pastel color girly pictures, and ladies go bananas when they see those pictures. I'm more like real life action photography, and I like to reflect on different moments in my life, looking through the lens of my cameras. I have quite a few. And of course, I like travel, because in my residency, like many of us, I had to sacrifice a lot, and I couldn't travel for various reasons, financially, and also my immigration status. I couldn't leave the country. And there was quite some long time, and then we were catching up with traveling and meeting people, and exploring the world. Yeah, that's pretty much briefly
I
who I
just
am.
want to ask you if you said your mom just told you you're gonna be a dentist. Do you have any doubts? Maybe not.
It's a very honest question. I mean, as we all know, your occupation
Yeah.
is very intense, and when I say intense, I mean not only like emotionally, but
Mhm.
it's a physically
Yeah.
hard labor, and the same goes to all dentists and doctors, and I'm very respectful to my colleagues. But I think everyone would agree that it's very hard labor,
Yeah.
and yes, you are rewarded. It's a well-respected occupation in any society, right?
Mhm.
And we contribute to the society because I always say that we make our patients' lives better. I mean, I think we can make this statement. So when you see those smiles and when you see, it's not just about like teeth, crowns,
Yeah.
veneers, implants.
People.
It's about people before and after,
Yeah.
and how they get into new relationship, different phases of their life. You know, things happen. They get new job opportunities. They go to that interview and they kill
Yeah.
it, they nail it, and many other doors open. Self-esteem, and especially for ladies, and but for guys as well. And basically, sometimes it's very trivial, like chewing foods, enjoying foods that you couldn't enjoy.
Smile,
You know, I mean something personal, but
Right.
remember you lost a few crowns.
Yeah.
This happened to me as well. I broke few teeth. My mouth is full of crowns, veneers,
Implants, yeah.
root canals. I mean, one implant is about to happen because I broke my tooth. And then you start reflecting, like, if I'm suffering from not having a couple of teeth
Yeah.
here and there, and like what happens if a person is missing most of the teeth or all of the teeth, or struggling with suffering with chewing food. Forget about self-esteem. So despite the fact that it's a very rewarding profession on this emotional level, and people respect what you're doing, I mean financially it's also rewarding, and it happens because it's a hard-earned income, but it also takes some toll on you. I think so, and I don't want to say like, oh, the older you get. I mean, we all are not like teenagers in this room, and
Not
then
anymore.
and then if you compare yourself to 10 years ago, 20 years ago,
Yeah.
but sometimes even a couple of years ago, you wake up in the morning, you feel like, oh, this is like,
Yeah.
and a big shout out to my friends from Global Clinic and Anya, and they fixed almost every joint in my body. My
Global Clinic. It's pain.
yeah, joint. Yeah, they're in Niles, and
Yeah.
it's an amazing facility.
Yeah.
They built it from scratch, and because of our occupation, like all this posture,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, many of us work not in the most ergonomic position. And also, my ego lifting at the gym, and then you hear this snap here, snap there,
Yeah.
and then few injections to knees and shoulders, and I even got an epidural there, and it's physically very demanding. So going back to the question, do I have any regrets becoming a dentist? I think it's a little too late to reflect, but retrospectively, I could have done something else. And if you ask a logical question, what's something else? The answer is
Body lifter.
I don't know. Huh?
Body lifter.
Oh, body lifter, like in professional sports, as much as it sounds like a cool idea, I think statistically to make it to a really, really top tier level and become like whatever, like champion or Olympic athlete, I think it's extremely challenging. And if we talk about physical fatigue, I mean, forget about dentistry. I mean, that takes even harder toll on you. So. But I don't know. We are where we are, and there are a lot of
Exactly.
like books and movies about your destiny and how things happen. But I think I'm a decent doctor, and I'm not trying to be like humble or fish for compliments. But I think I'm well above average. There's always room for growth,
Exactly.
and if you're a good professional, especially a dentist or a lab technician, or quite frankly any other health provider, the more you learn, the more you think you don't know anything,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Like if you placed 100 implants, you think like you're god of implantology. If you placed like 500, 1,000, you
Yeah.
think like you're like even beyond that. But you start having some doubts, you
Yeah.
know. But then down the road, once you have to deal with complications, early complications and delayed complications, your complications and your colleagues' complications, and all of a sudden you have this aha moment, and you feel that urge to learn more, and the more you learn, the scarier it
Yeah.
gets. And it takes time, it takes effort, it takes money and commitment, but I think it's a never-ending process.
If you're just gonna looking back to your like dental school, do you have any like moments, like some moments what you remember the most? I know it's some hard moments.
I know.
But,
I think altogether between Russia and my continued education while I was practicing in Moscow, and then my official 4-year residency at Penn, and then extra education after that. I think I put together, if I'm not mistaken, 15 or 16 years of schooling, which is also like quite a bit of investment,
Yeah.
right? Like going back to that question, do I wish that I had done something else, with all that time? But my Russian dental school, was a lot of fun, especially first couple of years. And the very first class, it was anatomy class, and our first teacher, she was a very, very tough lady. She was like a neurosurgeon. And she was like yelling at us and screaming, and but she taught us well. So to be honest, when I had my anatomy exam, I think it's after first year or second year, I don't remember. I didn't have to study for the exam. That's how well we knew anatomy. She was so harsh on us that we knew it very, very well. And I did pretty good in my dental school, except biochemistry. I struggled with biochemistry. It was very hard. And to make things more entertaining, like 10 years later, I had to retake all the exams, including biochemistry, but in English. But the problem was not a foreign language, but just the fact that I did not like biochemistry. And I hate to say it, but in my everyday practice, there was very little biochemistry. Of course, you understand the basics and some concepts, but I don't recall any point of my career when I needed to know like which surface of mitochondria some processes happen, But no disrespect to people who are into science. So my residency at Penn, it was even harder, even more fun, but it was very hard. I don't know if I could do it again, quite frankly. It was very challenging in terms of many aspects, and changing lifestyle completely, because after being a successful, relatively young 33, 34-year-old surgeon in Russia, and I was doing peripros without realizing that it was peripros. I was pretty much doing like, many dentists in Europe do. I was placing my implants and dealing with my own restorative. So if the implant was placed like this, so you can hang your hat on it, there was only one guy to blame, and he was in the mirror. That's how I learned. And but even after that, and having some solid, like I thought, background in surgery and restorative, I had to, and having certain lifestyle, right? Traveling and enjoying certain results of my work, and then I had to sell my brand new car. And moved to I left my job, got rid of many things, and my wife and I, at that time, my girlfriend, we moved to the States like, many of immigrants with 2 suitcases and full of enthusiasm, and, we were not naive because we already had seen the world a little bit. And I missed the part when I was a foreign exchange student when I was 17. So being in my second year of dental school, I was 17, and my mom rolled me into a program where you can go abroad and live with the family. It was in Washington State. It was in Olympia, which is a small town, which happened to be the capital of the state. And that's how I was introduced to this country for the first time. So there I was introduced to dentistry, and it's hard to believe, but I was in my second year of dental school, and I never experienced dental anesthesia on myself. So all my fillings were done with no numbing.
Wow.
And even like before I went to the States, it was 1994, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I got a few fillings done at my friend's father's office, and they were drilling my teeth with no numbing, and it was, pretty,
Same.
pretty painful. The pain travels from here to your toes. And then when I needed more dentistry, because quite frankly my teeth were very crappy after like Soviet style dentistry, when I was receiving dentistry at that American dental clinic environment, I was sitting looking at the ceiling waiting for pain, which never came, and I felt so sorry for myself, because I thought like, so this is how it could have been done all those years. So what's next?
Next, I just want to ask you if you remember your first patient. And how did it
This
go?
is a really funny story.
Exactly.
So I started seeing my own patients before I even graduated in 1999 from Russian dental school.
Okay.
I mean, don't ask me the legality of this, but
Yeah.
it was kind of okay back in the day. And I was working as a dental assistant at one of the American dental offices in Russia, and that practice still exists. It's called U.S. Dental Care. And but I was a dental assistant, so I was still going to full-time dental school, and like I would go to school at 8, 9, be at school till 4, and then go to my job as a dental assistant, and then come home at 11 p.m. to wake up again and go to school. Don't ask me how I pulled this off, but when you're young, you don't care. And I was seeing patients, obviously not for money, not for income, but just to practice, like to place those class 2 amalgams even at that time, believe me or not, and composites. And this is like really funny. So my friend's mom, she was sitting in the chair. I'm like delivering one of my first local anesthesias. So I was so nervous that my hands were shaking that badly. I didn't even make it to the mouth of the patient. The needle went here, and but I made a poker face and I said like, very good, that's cool. And she thought that was the way of doing anesthesia. I mean, of course there are techniques for, especially in oral surgery, when you do like external access for anesthesia, but for sure that was not my intention. I just didn't even make it to the mouth with that needle. Then I calmed down, I got a grip, and finally I delivered that local. I don't remember what it was, like infiltration or block. And but the irony is that among those patients, there was one of my good friends. He lives in New York right now, and I think he still has those fillings that I placed. What is it, like 25 years ago?
Probably,
plus,
yeah.
and they're still there. So I'm very proud of that fact.
Actually, it was my next question. How do you keep the vibe light, like to make the patient who's nervous like more down?
We sedate them. I mean, that's a joke. No, but besides the jokes, of course, for big procedures, we're using twilight sedation, and so for bigger procedures, we use general anesthesia. We have an amazing team of anesthesia team, but otherwise, usually you try to relate to the patient, understand her or his fears. Share your stories, take them at ease, and start with something relatively easy. Of course, you're not jumping into like 5 extractions and 3 implants and sinus graft, etc. So, and there are a lot of like psychological tricks. For instance, you don't jump at the patient even taking pictures. If you, like today, I saw a patient. He found us through Facebook, and he won't even sit in the chair. So he's standing in the corner of the room, like this closed posture. But if you're experienced enough, you read those things, you register. So I talked about like my own experience, which was pretty harsh in my childhood. And we found some common grounds. He was born a few years later after me, but same generation, same country, former Soviet Union. He's from Ukraine, I'm from Moscow. Despite all this nonsense war going on, we're really melting pot at our practices. We have people from Poland, from Ukraine, Eastern Ukraine, Western Ukraine. I am from Moscow, we have Mexican employees, and I think it's a representation of this country where people come from different parts of the world, and somehow they find common language and common grounds. So going back to nervous patients and anxious patients, once they see that they're at a good place and we're good people, and besides all those reviews and research that they do, people, they kind of read other people, especially who have been around in this life, and they understand how sincere you are. And if it's gonna pinch, it's gonna pinch. You tell them, you pinch their hand, and you go like, okay, this is what it's gonna be. Is it pleasant? No, but I'm gonna give you a teeny tiny bit of local. You're gonna numb up. Are we cool? Cool. Let's move forward. And then you see this transformation, from people who came completely phobic and scared, and partially that's the reason why they couldn't take care of the teeth. It's not always the money. I mean, we think it's the money. What are the most commonly asked questions, like how much is it gonna cost? Is it gonna hurt? How long the treatment is gonna last? Do you take my insurance? And those are basically the same questions that are asked. And ironically, many offices don't give answers to these questions. Try to call the office, random office, and ask them, oh, you guys do implants? And go like, yeah, we do implants. So how much is an implant? Then it's going to be a pause and no answer. Most offices wouldn't even answer this question. Okay, veneers. Okay, I want 6 veneers. How much is it going to cost? I think it should be completely the opposite, but it's a topic for another day. But if push comes to shove and people cannot get themselves comfortable, then we offer sedation. Usually it's at twilight.
Yeah, because like me, no, because I usually not about money, just scaredness. I'm waiting. I have pain, but I'm gonna wait until it's it. I'm dying. And I'm gonna go.
Have you tried nitrous oxide laughing gas?
No.
It's actually it works.
No.
It's laughing gas. It's just because you get a little bit of euphoria, and
you should buy it.
Yeah, you should have it here
in the lab.
Just I'm not sure about if you can use my license, but come over. Yeah, so we'll treat you with nitrous.
Let's talk about real teeth. What do you think that 3 most important things for people to make their teeth healthy during the life period?
No, I think that according to my clinical experience, very few people are blessed with healthy, beautiful, straight teeth and gums, from Mother Nature. Usually we're dealt different cards, and usually if you see somebody having, smiling with beautiful, healthy smile, and in my opinion, in most cases, it's a product of some dedication and commitment. It's either that person's commitment or sometimes parents, right? In this country, in this culture, we know that our kids go to orthodontist and they have straight teeth. But go to Great Britain. I thought it was a cliche, but when I finally made it to London and I was talking to people, I was astonished that I was talking to successful people, and they had rotten teeth in their mouth,
Really?
And they're crooked teeth. And because, different societies have different priorities. Or when I was in India, I literally saw people recycling dentures on the market, sitting on the ground and feeding them with acrylic and flies flying around. Again, no offense to any country or any doctors of any ethnicity, but that's what I've seen myself. And so to get a beautiful, healthy smile, and beautiful, it's a very broad spectrum.
Right,
if somebody has healthy gums, but his teeth are A3 shade, and he doesn't want them to be, kind of bleach. I mean, in my vocabulary, it's still good, healthy smile. Of course, as a periodontist, gums are essential. You cannot have a beautiful smile with diseased gums with some, periodontal disease or severe recessions or defects or something. Because no matter how beautiful teeth are, gums are not only, they support teeth and structurally, but also it's like a framing, right? For natural teeth or any other artificial restorations, veneers or whatnot. Obviously, prophylaxis from early ages, and we pay extreme attention to this. We have all those gadgets and devices at our offices, like all those like Swiss machines to clean teeth and implants. Obviously orthodontics, right? Because genetically, even if you have teeth straight, but you had crooked teeth when you were a child, genetically your kids might inherit that. So, and again, orthodontics not just for alignment of the teeth, but also for proper bite and health of the teeth down the road. And then when time comes, and obviously replace missing teeth if they're missing congenitally. Many people statistically are missing lateral incisors. I've done a bunch of cases. I just delivered case today, 2 zirconia implants for a lady who was missing lateral incisors, and statistically they're pretty common. We use zirconia implants, and I will be posting that case. So fill the gaps, and then enhance teeth that maybe have some wear and tear down the road. Like when I was getting close to 50, I definitely took a note that my teeth had some wear and tear, and that's normal, especially with all the stressful clenching and grinding at the gym at work. And I made a decision that I definitely cannot make teeth for myself, right? I'm not like one of those guys recording videos. Extracting a tooth or placing my body actually placed an implant himself. I met a guy in Guatemala. He is a maxillofacial prosthodontist from Utah, Nick. If you're watching this, and he legit showed me a video how he was placing implant and a premolar on himself. So this is like completely crazy. I'm not doing this. But veneers, I think it's out of question, doing extensive pros. So I myself found a very nice prosthodontist, and I went to Stuart, and he's amazing. He is local, because I was thinking maybe going to Moscow and getting treatment there. But I couldn't do it because of the logistics and time. It wasn't about the money, right? Obviously I could have saved some money, but I made the big boys decision that it wasn't worth it on a big scale of things, like being absent from work and all this travel. Okay, what happens if one veneer needs to be adjusted? So and I got my teeth fixed, and I got a bunch of veneers done by a very talented prosthodontist and also ceramist. And I went through this experience as a patient, and of course I've had this experience several times as a patient, for surgical procedures, restorative. Anita does cleaning for me with this Airflow 1 occasionally, so I walk the walk when it comes to my own hygiene, and it was amazing. I remember I came to our Skokie location on Wednesday when I got just my temporary teeth. And I couldn't stop showing my teeth to my team members, and then at home my kids were making fun of me that I couldn't pass a single mirror, at house, like even reflection from the cars. And I go like, this is a great experience, and if I can deliver this experience to our patients, now we're talking. Now it's not just about chewing, and it's about literally changing lives. And I cannot make the statement that my life changed, but I'm definitely was in a great mood for a very long time, and I still like looking at my teeth. I like looking at pictures, and I enjoy this. It's not like I'm looking for new job opportunities or God forbid other opportunities, but it makes a huge difference. So obviously you need someone who can be your guide in this dental journey. And we're talking about short-term goals, but also it's good to have a good dentist that you and your family can see regularly. And if he or she is a good dentist, they're going to be very capable of doing a lot of things and referring for the things that they don't feel comfortable doing professionally. Like, I don't know, if they cannot perform some complex root canal, right? Like my root canals were done by my very good friend Vlad Tismensky, an amazing endodontist, and I was in and out like in 40 minutes with a very complex molar root canal, and I was in huge pain. There was yet again another dental experience that I had, I had the pain and everything, and of course it was on Thanksgiving, so I couldn't see him, so it was like the whole spiel. And so having this guide is very important. And then if, at some point of life, patients might need, like we said, replacement of one of, several teeth, then you need a very qualified doctor. I mean, not necessarily like periodontist or oral surgeon. It could be a general dentist, but with adequate training. I'm not one of those snobbish specialists who like make a statement that only specialists can place them. No, absolutely. There are a lot of talented general dentists who do amazing job and full arches and complex and remote anchorage. And I met a lot of those colleagues in Guatemala with Orca, and we communicate. And there are a lot of mediocre specialists, with all this like diplomas all over the wall, but they're for whatever reason, they perform very, very poorly. So if you need to see a specialist, I think it's also important to find someone you can trust and you can, feel comfortable with delegating some parts of dental work to those people. Like surgeries, implants, root canals, ortho. For kids, sometimes pedodontist, it's a good way to go, not to a general dentist. So like any other kind of aspect of life, you want to meet good professionals and you want to kind of stay with them, recommend your friends, and that's how we roll.
You told me about your veneers and just, it came out in my head like every time I have argues with my kids about the bleaching. They're young, but they all want to bleach. What do you think about bleach these days? Good or bad?
I mean, I'm not an expert in bleaching, but I think there is nothing wrong with that. I mean, don't quote me on that, like with the literature and everything. And there are a lot of ways of doing whitening. I historically tried all those early models of what's that bleaching system like that was like popular in Los Angeles. It was like Dr. Hoffman, I think he started it. It's pretty, I'm like missing the term, but it's like the blue light that was very popular, and the first models, they hurt like hell, and they were advertising it at all those expos, and like when those reps were going to the office, there was back in Moscow. No, it doesn't hurt, you don't need anesthesia. Hell yeah, I needed numbing and it hurt, I had to take some painkillers. And then the effect would go away very soon, because what happened, you were like just sitting there with this blue light and the teeth were dehydrated. And if you just sit and do nothing and just breathe air for, I don't know, an hour, your teeth will be, when you pick a shade, your teeth,
right away,
they cannot be dry, because if they're dry, they're going to be, not the proper shade. So I did not like that one. And then... But then I tried some gels and I tried some...
But after gels, usually it's like sensitivity after that, right? Your teeth kind of sensitive, right?
Yeah, So the name of this whitening now across my mind, it's Zoom whitening,
Okay.
Maybe my memory blanked because now we have Zoom meetings.
Zoom meetings,
So, my hard drive is contaminated at this point, so it erased the old Zoom info and put the new one. Yeah, I have nothing against all those systems with the gel and with trays. And, I know that there is that very fancy core whitening. It's spelled like K-O with umlaut, two dots and R. It's very expensive, and they deliver it to your office in a like frozen container, like they transport organs for, transplantation. I don't have any expert opinion about that, but I've heard opinions that it's amazing, but I've heard opinions that it's completely like overrated and it's just marketing. Again, don't quote me on that. Before I got my veneers, the latest what I had been using, just whitening strips from Crest, which is, I don't want to rob any of our colleagues, but I think it works just as fine as trace with the gel, but again, I might be wrong, don't quote me on that. I like white teeth. I always wanted white teeth. My teeth were kind of whitish. After,
Hollywood smile.
Hollywood smile, I think it's that term got a lot of like wrong meanings to it, because when I see those fake teeth from Turkey and other parts of the world, when they do just white, huge teeth, no anatomy, like chiclets, and people call it Hollywood smile. It makes me twitch a little bit. I like when I recommend choosing a shade to my patient. I recommend just go as white as possible, as bright as possible, but without looking too fake, And everybody's situation is different. For someone, it's going to be like B1. For someone, it's going to be bleach. It depends on, patient's facial features, skin tone, color, and, overall kind of appearance.
To me, the bleaches, it's A1. That's it.
Okay.
A1. That's it. Everything else, it's Hollywood smile. I know you and me, we usually a lot talking about Olanex. What do you think about that and how it changed usually people smiles lives too? Right?
A fun story. About 17 years ago, after I had, obviously I treat all my family.
Yeah.
Once we're sitting at the table, it was my wife, my kids, my dogs, my mom, and I was, after a couple of tequilas, I was looking at all of them, and I go like, do you understand that I did surgeries on every single one of you, including the dogs?
Oh my God.
So going back to my mom, unfortunately, she's a victim of Soviet-era dentistry. And mind that the Russian dentistry and Eastern European dentistry have evolved tremendously. From not wearing gloves in the 90s to world-class dentistry nowadays. And I'm talking about restorative, cosmetic, surgeries like at the top-notch level. The leap that post-Soviet Union dentistry has made, it's enormous. With a lot of hard work and dedication, but it's a different story. So my mom and my dad, they're victims of Soviet era dentistry. So I had to, like last Tuesday, I did a surgery on my dad that I had to extract all remaining of his teeth and all of the implants that I placed in early 2000s. And I actually did a double arch case under general sedation, and overall it was a good experience. It was a little bit hard in terms of how he was, going out of general sedation, but it was another good learning experience for me to be with, my patient through the recovery period. But he did great eventually. And but for my mom, after I restored her with some, exquisite crowns with interlocking partials. Remember those like German dental school style. And then eventually she was about to lose all her lower teeth. And I swear, what I came up with, I reinvented All-on-4. I didn't know about Palomalo back at that time. I was in Moscow. So I go like, we don't have bone in the back, we have bone here, I'm extracting teeth. So I placed 4 implants, I tilted the ones in the back. And I go like, okay, let's restore this baby. And a good friend of mine, Olga, lab technician, who was into removable dentures and all that, she goes like, you're crazy, I'm not working with you. You're experimenting on your mom, and basically, bye-bye. So I had to find a lab, or maybe I convinced her, and we made like a bridge for her. And Marcos, he changed the bridge only when I came here to the States. No, it wasn't a temporary. Then she made it like metal reinforced.
Wow.
But when we moved to the States, then mom came to visit me in Chicago, like in 2014ish, 15ish, and then Marcos, in your lab, you redid the whole lower denture for her, like hybrid. It's not a denture, it's a hybrid implant supported bridge, and she still has it to this day. That's how I got introduced to All-on-4, All-on-X. Many years later, to be specific, last August or September, I went to Paulo Carvalho. He is from Portugal, very talented surgeon. We were learning FP1, the type of bridge when you don't have any fake gums, and that's a very, very interesting niche of implant dentistry, which I personally enjoy a lot. And we specifically went to Paulo Malo building. It's 11-story building. It's where all the All-on-4s were done on a huge scale. And unfortunately, it's like semi-abandoned building at this point. Because as far as I know, he had some financial difficulties. He made some bad financial decisions, and he owed a lot of money to the bank. So he had to sell his, entire business, and only a few floors are functioning. But I was walking those floors in Portugal and Lisbon, and this is like the motherland of All-on-4. And the evolution in that aspect of dentistry, it's a topic on its own for many, many hours. But like many clinicians, I was evolving with different trends, and of course I went through the phase of just placing 4 implants, then 6, then dealing with upper arch, atrophic maxillas when you have to scout for bone. Then I got into remote anchorage. Then I went to Guatemala with Orca, which is an amazing organization, and I improved my skills there as well. And of course a lot of cadaver courses and a lot of reading. So that goes to a completely different topic, how much it goes into diligent continuing education. So when somebody is placing implant in 5 minutes, there is 15 years before that to learn to do it in 5 minutes. And it's not always 5 minutes, we all know that. Sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it could be way longer because of way more complex situations, right? So it also, to reflect on the question, how much does it cost? I mean, we're talking about an implant on the upper second molar for someone like me when the person doesn't show it, or we're talking about front tooth or 25-year-old model.
Do you usually play any music when you're working, and what kind of music?
It's a very, very, very sensitive subject. Of course, we have a Spotify account, and I, put together my music
But
that I
heavy
like.
metal or rock or
I like heavy metal. I like electronic music, but I cannot listen to that music at work, right? So at work we have this loungy, a little bit of electronic music, but for some weird algorithms, sometimes it goes in a very dark house music, which it's not intentional. Like club, but club on Monday at 11 a.m. That kind of club, and I start complaining. I go into my PC mode and then Anita changes the music. And for some mysterious reason, although we have the same account in Skokie location in Schaumburg, it just streams different music. Don't ask me why. Maybe I have to recheck the settings. And I listen to the music all the time during my workouts. And I like Shazamming the music. If you like the music, you Shazam it and you put it in a special folder. And I even recorded our own podcast on Spotify, so guys, if you're interested, go to our website, Implant Wide, and then you can download my free ebook, and if you're too lazy or you have AD, D like I do, and you cannot read 40 pages, then there is a, summary that you can listen to on Spotify. It's 15-minute summary in the form of podcast. Or you can even watch a YouTube video, which is also a summary, but it gives you a slide presentation for people who like to be visual. And it's been a big hit, that book, because patients get all the answers. I got a little bit tired of answering the same questions online. And, we're small practice, and I have a lot of interaction with potential patients myself through social media and whatnot. And after I kind of systemized and analyzed all the questions, I decided to write this beautiful piece of literature. And
actually, it's so cool. Instead of doctor gonna ask me, I said, go to my Spotify and just read everything. Just let's do quick file. Coffee or tea?
I drink buckets of coffee every day. I mean, occasionally, as a stereotypical Russian, I like black tea with some lemon. And I keep my teaspoon in there, and I have to close one eye when I'm drinking. That's how Soviet spies gave themselves away in all those movies. When he drinks tea, even if there is no spoon in there, he closes his eye.
Dream vacation spot.
Dream vacation spot. I want to go to, places I had been to,
or whatever you want to go to.
I want to go to Latin America. I want to go to Argentina. I want to, ironically, yo estudio español. I'm learning Spanish. It's my second year, and my teacher says I'm doing pretty well. Maybe because I'm paying him, I don't know. But and I practice with my patients and Fabiola, our Spanish native speaker at the office. But me gusta mucho, me encanta.
Muy
And
bien.
and with this being said, Latin America is a slightly uncharted territory. I mean, of course, I've been to Mexico and now Guatemala, but many cool places. I traveled Asia extensively. I was in Japan, Indonesia, Vietnam,
Wow.
Singapore, Malaysia, and probably something else. Thailand, of course, so that part of the world is interesting. I don't mind going there, but maybe like later. Europe, we love going to Italy every summer, and Italy. If I had to choose
Italy.
one country to live, not to work, but to live.
Same.
Yeah, we just got
To
the
live,
case
yeah.
of olive
Yeah.
oil that our friend sent
Yeah.
to us from Tuscany, where we just we're traveling the other year, and we know the tree that the
Yeah.
olives were collected from. And Italian dentistry is pretty cool, also, right? I remember learning from amazing Italian doctors like Mauro Fradiani, Giuseppe Zucchelli
Mhm.
for surgeries, and Massimo Simeon. Like they're very stylish, very passionate, and definitely a huge contribution to world class dentistry. And there are a lot of cool places even in the States. I mean, that's why statistically many people don't even have passports, right?
Yeah.
Because you can travel to Alaska, Utah, East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, so
I want to
many
go
spots,
to
yeah.
I want to go to this Antelope cave or canyon. Where they have this futuristic.
Where?
I think it's Utah or
Utah.
Colorado.
Mhm.
It looks pretty cool. Look it
Yeah.
up. It looks like almost like from a different planet.
I know you like photography, but do you have any one gadget that you cannot live without?
My Leica camera.
Oh, see? Yeah.
Again, it's a cliche that people who know little about photography
Yeah.
but have some extra money, dentists, lawyers, they buy Leica.
Leica, yeah.
But I'm obsessed,
Yeah.
Maybe I'm silly, maybe I'm a bad photographer, but sometimes I carry around both cameras. I shoot Nikon for work, and I have Z8, Z6,
Uh-huh.
and my older camera, D850 or 750, and even like for my residency, I have D90. So Canon and Nikon is amazing for work. It's like crisp and sharp and fast, but for for fun, I mean, like even Kinga, our social media lady, she likes those pictures, and of course you can take them with an iPhone. You can take them with other
Yeah.
like DJI gadgets, and they're nice. They're in focus, but I think Leica has this character, and
Yeah.
yeah, you can check out some pictures. I think,
Let's finish up with the last question. What advice would you give to the young dentists that just gonna start their career? Like your advice?
Not in the order of importance, so you can kind of put them in sequence, but definitely early on make a decision what you like doing most. It could be surgeries, it could be cosmetic dentistry, it could be ortho, endo. I'm not sure if you need to specialize. There are different ideas about whether or not you want to become a specialist. I'm talking about United States.
Yeah.
I mean, Europe is different, but definitely invest in your continuing education and do it methodically, systematically. Definitely find a mentor, and ideally a local person. Not necessarily, because with social media you can have someone you can communicate with like from long
That's okay.
distance, but ideally someone local. And when I was doing my first remote anchorage cases for zygomas and pterygoids, I worked with the oral surgeon, Dr. John Herr, and he would come to our office, and of course, we would plan cases together, and he would do the surgeries, and then I would do the surgeries, and he would, supervise me. And then I would go to take cadaver course, and then I would go to Guatemala, observe and do some surgeries there. So definitely invest heavily in CE. Definitely try to understand something that was not taught in my dental school or in my residency. It's the business aspect of dentistry. And I'm not saying that everyone should become like a businessman and owner of DSO, or but at least like have some financial literacy. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to be educated early on, and I paid the price for that. Like my Jewish grandma used to say that the before happened after, so that's the slogan of my life. But as long as it happens, it happens. my book starts with a line that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best day is today. So,
Yeah.
and it's very profound. So even if you have some regrets about not doing things 20 years ago, well,
But
guess
you
what?
can,
You can
yeah.
start today. You can start reading that book today. You can go to the gym today or tomorrow, and many other things. I mean, most things can be fixed, improved. Of course, life is life, and some things, unfortunately cannot be fixed. But most things can be fixed and improved.
That's true.
So that would be my advice. And don't follow the money. Follow your passion in whatever field of
Yeah.
dentistry you envision yourself, and the money will follow. Because once you deliver something to your patients that you're proud of, the money follows. Like today we had the lady that with those zirconia implants, and for whatever reason, not blaming anyone, but one crown was done, not up to our standards, and she noticed that as well, right? So I had to redo the whole case. I paid to the lab. I mean, let's skip the story why it happened. I was silly enough to cement it with a permanent cement. I thought it was kind of okay. No, if you're working and you think it's not okay, then it's not okay. Don't push it to the limit that, it might, kind of slide. Even if it does, that patient would be walking around with a crappy dentistry of yours, and he or she will be the anti-marketing for you, right? So you want your patients to hug you. Like today we got, quite a few gifts from my patients. And they're like sincere, and I'm not talking about like expensive things. I'm talking about like cute things and hugging and emotions, and even the patients who come to your office and they're kind of grumpy, and you have like this initial kind of misunderstanding. Try to get where they're coming from, and in most cases, with small exceptions, you don't have to treat everyone. That's another piece of advice. But most of the people are nice people, the majority, right? And once they open up, once they see that they can trust you, a lot of good things happen. But be afraid of patients who praise you to the sky on the very first day with no reasoning for that. They're just saying like, oh, you're amazing, you're the best, thank God I met you. Because sometimes they change their 5-star reviews to 1-star review down the road. So what you could be doing, it's a little trick. Take screenshots of those reviews, 5-star reviews. So later when they change them to 1-star reviews, you have a proof that you don't look silly why your response to this review is like, it's a 1-star review, which used to be 5-star review. And your response is like, oh, thank you so very much for this 5-star review. We enjoyed seeing in our office, and it's like 1-star review that was edited, retrospectively, which says insurance fraud because, oh my God, insurance didn't pay some procedure. Of course, it's your fault. And now from 5-star, it went to 1-star, and now all of a sudden you're not good, you're horrible. So be afraid of those people, because if they praise
good advice.
So that's basically
our story. Dr. G, thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see each other more and more. We have so much to talk about.
Cheers.
Cheers.